Okay, today I'm making these caramel pretzel brownies, and the following ingredients are included. I've got 8 tablespoons of butter, vanilla, peanuts, and chopped up pretzel bits. Those are on the bottom there. 1 egg. I chose to make a flax egg, and I have a video on my channel of how to do that if you're interested. It's basically 1 tablespoon of fine milled flaxseed with 3 tablespoons of water mixed in and set, and then it gets this kind of consistency. Then I have oat flour, baking powder, and salt in this bowl whisked together. The recipe calls for all-purpose flour, but I only had oat flour, so I'm going to go with that and hope that it's okay. Also, 1 cup of brown sugar and some dulce de leche jarred. And I couldn't find jarred dulce de leche in my grocery store, so I made that, and I'll also include a link to how to make that in the about section of this video if you're interested. So I've already made 1 set of these, but I haven't added the dulce de leche. You're supposed to spoon that in and then use a knife or a fork to run it through. But I figured since it will be kind of sticky, I'd do it with this batch that I'm making now. So I'm going to wait for the butter to melt. And once the butter is melted, then I'm going to add the brown sugar, and we'll probably do that here pretty quick. Supposed to take it off the heat. In this last batch, I didn't find a problem with keeping it on the heat, so I'm just going to do that again. And I'm also going to add the vanilla after I whisk in the brown sugar. Okay, so far I've got the egg, the brown sugar, the butter, and the vanilla in this. And then the next step is to add the dry good ingredients. But, oh, that just sprayed all over my kitchen. Not uncommon in my kitchen. Okay, then I'm going to add the dry ingredients. In the last batch I didn't have a problem with adding them all at once, so that's what I'm going to do. Okay, now everything is combined. That is the dry ingredients with the wet ingredients, and I found in the last batch that, try to get last bit of goodness, that when I add the peanuts and the pretzels, it's just easier to stir it around with a spatula and then use the spatula to dump it into the pan. Once it's all mixed together, you just start pouring it into the pan and then use the spatula to get that rust out. And I guess I should have mentioned, you want to use an 8x8 Pyrex dish or an 8x8 pan, and then you line it with tin foil with 2 inches overlap on either side, and then spray it with cooking spray. That's what I'm pouring into right now. And then you just want to spread this evenly over the pan before we're going to drop our dulce de leche in little spoonfuls. Okay, so I've spooned out the dulce de leche. And what I did is I took it out of the jar, put it in a bowl, and then I put cooking spray on my spoon. It didn't work all that well, but for the first couple times it did. And then you're supposed to move this around. I think my dulce de leche isn't as malleable as it should be for this, so I'm just kind of playing around with that. But you're supposed to make it more decorative, like you would go like this or something like that. This one turned out a little bit better because I did smaller spoonfuls, so as that bakes, I'm sure it will incorporate. So the oven is heated to 375, and we're going to bake these for 30 minutes. or until the center comes clean with a toothpick. Alright, I think it is ready to go. I pulled them out earlier, and I've given them an additional 5 minutes because they weren't ready to go earlier. But they look pretty good now. I'm not getting a lot of gooiness on the toothpick. So we'll pull them out, and then I'm going to let them cool on the stove top. That's one cool thing about my stove top, is not the fact that it's filthy dirty and I need to clean it, but I was waiting to do this recipe until I did that. It tells you to cool on a wire rack. Well, this is about the equivalent of a wire rack because it has air that can get below it and air that can get above it. Okay, so once these have cooled completely, and look, they're still bubbling and doing lots of business in there, then, I mean, cooled completely, we're going to take them out using the extra whatever tinfoil and then be able to access them from there. Okay, now that it's completely cooled, you're just going to take your 2 inches on either side and lift it up. And you can see that I can literally, it's all connected to the tinfoil. And I've already taken one of them out and cut them up, and you can tell that they look awesome. And I've already tasted them, and they taste awesome. So now I'm just going to peel, and this is why the cooking spray is so important. You're going to peel the foil slowly away from the blondies. And when you peel anything away from something, you always want to get the closest you can. Like, you don't want to pull from here. You want to pull the closest to what you're pulling from. Okay, and there you have it. It's completely separated from the foil. And then all you want to do is just cut them up into little, you know, the normal blondie, brownie type sizes. And I was thinking too, you can just, you know, peel this off, crumble it off, and use it as like an ice cream topping if you don't want these, if you don't want the edges to look like that. So I am going to include a link in the description below to AllYou's recipe on their website. Mine turned out a little bit different than the ones pictured here, but not much. And you know, I used oat flour and the flax egg, so those were the 2 different ingredients that I used. They're really, really good, and I definitely recommend trying this recipe. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Helps me bring you more recipes like this on our YouTube channel. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.